Hi everyone, welcome to Solilog Quest. That's my podcast where I essentially talk to myself, and hopefully you are tuned in too. And thank you for that if you are. Uh, for video purposes, I figured I would share these drives that I go for in the New England area in northeastern part of US, if you're familiar with. Uh, this one is from central Massachusetts, essentially where I live, towards down south east, that is Cape Cod. This is 495 for those who know, 495 South. Uh, so feel free to join in and feel free to subscribe. I would appreciate more subscribers if you can join in, share, ask your friends and family to join in. And if you like this broadcast and the content, do let me know. Well, this series is What Matters. That's what I call it. And in this, I cover trending topics and events around all of us. My initial thoughts, I mean, let's call what it is. These are copious indulgences in speculation. That's my way of looking at things. We all do that, and especially since I read this book called "Every Man a Speculator." That's what everyone is doing, has been doing, and good or bad speculation, but it is speculation at best. No one knows what could happen the next moment, so we all take calculated guesses. And the more we take these guesses, the better we get at them, and the better is the chance to find some positive value or uses of this particular skill. I think that's essentially what we all are doing. Our mind is basically an estimating toolbox. It estimates the distance, the speed. It estimates the patterns in people's voices, tones, and then we speculate, we conjecture, we make informative and informed guesses. That's essentially what we're doing, and that's what I believe. So yeah, so anything that happens, I kind of ponder on it, my initial thoughts. Sometimes, I mean, Malcolm Gladwell's book says, blink, what your first initial, you know, reaction is in the blink of the moment is sometimes your gut feeling and the subconscious is calculating everything in the background and throwing it out as an output, trying to tell you what is it worth or, what could be done about something. So speculation in essence. Uh, well, with that, here is a quick index of kind of the topics covered in this video to save you time to go through the entire video and then realize, if it's of your interest or not. So here's the index of topics. We'll quickly run through these and see. U.S., Taiwan, Israel, Palestine, the whole quadrangle and complexity that is just increasing by newer participants. The Tucker Carlson and Putin's interview. Everybody went bonkers last week. Uh, Interestingly, there is farmers protest going on in Europe, and add to that, Germany is legalizing cannabis. So I'm not sure it's going to be one hell of an Oktoberfest coming up. Capital One and Discover merger is going to create a behemoth. Fed rate cuts or not, that whole guessing game continues. Gmail not shutting down the hoax. And again, this is a season of UFO balloons, unidentified flying objects called balloons in the sky. The season is here again. So essentially, those are the things that we're going to talk about, and let's dive right in. Let's not waste any time. So join in, and well, looks like while US is the one, I mean, touching upon the US, Taiwan, and the Israel, Palestine, and the Middle East, and the Ukraine, and all this going on. Looks like US is calling the shots on Taiwan front, but China seems to be, giving them the taste of their own medicine by turning on the heat on Israel at the World Court, ICJ. Yeah, I think they claim that Palestinians have the right to armed struggle against Israelis. So in a way, they're just, taking the opposite side and trying to and kind of put pressure on US and playing the game of isolating US on the global scale. Amazingly, Taiwan's leadership seems to be losing sleep over this possibility, and there was some statement that was, sent out over the possibility of US abandoning Ukraine. And if that happens, then what would happen to them in the future with all this drum beating of stance with them and this in support with them? And then suddenly China comes swooping in. What would happen? Would China end up literally with a walkover without even sparing a sweat of a bead or a bead of a sweat? That's what they're really rightfully worried about. And it's if you look at it, this whole thing is just getting complicated. And as I referred in the last video, is it going to officially be termed a world war beyond a point? Let's say there's a threshold of participants, and then you say, okay, let's call it a war, proper war. Not sure, but it is something that every day just looks like to be treading that fine line with the newer and newer participants and fronts and regions coming into the fray. Uh, Actually, but what interestingly happened was with upcoming Ramadan, it really becomes worth witnessing the modicum of humanity that is left in the world's so-called leaders, to be able to arrive at positive agreements for once. If not, then as a collective species, we should realize that we are crossing certain milestones in terms of sorry, in terms of the depravity that we are hitting in our morals and value systems. Because if we cannot stop this death and destruction at basic levels of humanity, even when there are certain important occasions when people are vulnerable more than not, it's not even a fair fight. So what does it say about moralities anyway? Way beyond a common man's pay grade, yet we all have to chime in our opinions. The world leaders instigate the fights, and the common man ends up paying the price. Always was the case, is the case, and will continue to be the case, looks like, for the human species, I guess. Uh, Jumping on to the other region, which is the whole Russia Ukraine front, Tucker Carlson, of all people, went ahead and interviewed Putin, and that became a rave overnight. I think it had millions of views within a span of 10 hours. That's what I saw. And it did end up finding top-notch audiences from across the world. Everybody was tuned in, and reactions of all sorts poured in from all quarters, opposing quarters. Imagine, even Zelensky could not hold back from watching it and calling it BS. Well, I mean, for what is it is worth, it is what it is. But everyone at the top, uh, likes to play these games, and so best that we common people could do in such times is to let them get one up on each other. Why not? Yeah, go for it. Call them names, call each other names, and let Carlson interview Putin and try and showcase Russia in a better light today. While let's only 10 years back, even the both the parties were shitting on Russia. Now suddenly he's trying to portray Russia in an amazing light just because he wants to he's got an agenda of his own, and then the other side would have an agenda against them. Uh, Whatever it is, I mean, it's just reality TV, nothing more. It does not even make sense. Partisan, bipartisan. It's no point even choosing a side. Uh, but anyways, second part is that these sanctions looks like they're really hurting Russians, if nobody else, uh, because the economy is getting hit. The impact percolates down to common people who are living there for the decisions that their leadership ends up making. So it will be worth watching as to what happens in the upcoming elections. Will Putin lose power somehow? I mean, is there a cabal working against him or not? And if that happens, then what happens to the world economy? Would the wars kind of cool down and alleviate and make way for commerce to flourish? Well, actually, that's all my interest is right now, because I've come down to least amount of hope from humanity to be able to do anything else. We all can worry. There is I think there is some amount of purity in commerce where you trade one thing and then you get the other. That's the only purest form of humanity that is left. The rest is all complicated and beyond my pay grade, I would say, at least. Uh, what else? There seems to be farmer protests going on in the new kind of French Revolution, led by protesting farmers driving tractors into Paris. Whoa, this is another level stuff. Say what you may, but old times were at least classy. This new era is crazy. Uh, Guess where would the talks? I mean, I'm just guessing where would the talks ensue between Macron and farmers at the annual French farming show? That's where. That's right, guys. I mean, we have come down to those levels where diplomatic talks happen at a French farming show now. Uh, well, these kind of these are the times that we live in, and when everything these are and this is the line that comes to my mind: when everything feels like the movies, yeah, you bleed just to know you're alive. You know what I'm talking about. Moving on, I have nothing more to add to this. I'm sure they have the right to protest. They have the right reasons. They're always ripped off the farmers at the lowest level because the corporate entities were taken and have the lion's share of the margin and all that. The subsidies are killing the locals because they're trying to get the food grains exported from Ukraine, which is hurting the the European participant countries as well, and all that. There's a lot of complicated economics out there, but uh, I mean, for what it is worth, tractors driving into Paris is it's going to be worth watching. Now, next is Germany. Germany looks like is moving forward on the path of legalizing cannabis, and would that increase their tourism? Is what I'm wondering from this development. So, and will they loosen up a bit? I mean, would cannabis finally do the trick on them, and they're like a little less uptight? The upside being that they will have something other than the beer now, and Oktoberfest will have a new feel to it soon. So that's that. Well, kudos, I would say that the natural medicine is getting legalized in a way to alleviate the pain for the people at least who need it. So there you go. Next, I had a random one. This is quite a big one. If you look from the financial world perspective, from consumer lending business and the consumer lending industry, the Capital One and Discover merger, which might create a behemoth of a consumer lender. For consumers, all that matters is that credit card interest rates are at record highs. So I'm not sure how people are managing their credit card debts. It's crazy as the rates are exorbitant. Yeah, it's almost extortionate. It's not even exorbitant. I was reading somewhere that the average annual rate that consumers paid in 2023 was around 23%. Now, I'm guessing that these card issuing companies must be making a killing because if you look at their stock prices, it just reflects like to be the case. And I did read some snippet that it does look like even this. I mean, talking further, this Capital One and Discover deal might be challenged on the usual antitrust law basis to limit the corporate concentration. But if this goes through, then it will be the third largest credit card issuer after Chase and Amex. Check that out. That's huge. Uh, and I'm sure the biggies must be worried what would happen to their businesses and all that, so they would challenge it in the coming days, I guess. But that's happening for now. Um, why not interest rates? It is again this whole drama keeps going on and it keeps playing on the world scale and the world stage that US is fed might increase rates, might hold rates, might not hold rates, and it's almost like a guessing game that they play every other month. It's a bingo night for them. So somebody says increasing the rates because there are multiple variables for deciding economic policies, monetary policies, and one variable or the other. And it's all subjective because somebody might emphasize one variable while the other is emphasizing on the other variable, and the outcomes or the interpretations would be different. And this game just keeps going on. It's not a science. They've not been able to crack the science behind it so as to be able to definitely say what would happen, what not, and add to that the complexity that the stock market players would play when these speculations are rife, and that's the whole game, I guess. So high rates will keep getting passed on to the consumers if it's high rates. Low rates would create a bubble of an economy because again the lending would increase, and people misuse that as well because the prices, let's say the real estate bubble would be created if the prices are less or if the rates are low. Everybody would want to take on a debt and happily enjoy $1 million houses. So what does one do? I have no idea. I mean, I don't even know how to read when a Fed comes out with its FOMC meeting minutes and says, okay, we're going to hold the rates at the current levels, or we're going to increase, or we're going to decrease. I did read that most of the participants are expecting a June rate cut, and they're factoring that in the prices and all that. So there is a speculative consensus that something might move the needle in June, but no one knows for sure, and no one can. Uh, So for now, the corporates are happily laying off the workforce, hedging their risk and costs. Laying off the workforce, i.e., job cuts, i.e., cost saves, i.e., higher profit margins and bottom lines on their balance sheets and showing profits, and their bonuses are intact and all that. We all know that. Uh, Moving on to something that another thing that impacts most of us is Gmail. Looks like there was a hoax and a dirty hoax. Look, that Gmail is shutting down, and I read that that's not the case. Google apparently denied it in time, as it did not create a frenzy big enough to make headlines. I would assume that it is a big deal, though, if it were true, because it impacts most of us, if not all of us by now, on planet Earth. We're all using Gmail. Some of us do have those old Yahoo accounts and MSN or Microsoft accounts, and us, or maybe somebody is using non-official Outlook accounts. But Gmail, I think it's everywhere, and God only knows what would happen if Gmail were to shut down. Such a dirty little hoax. Good that it was denied, and that's that. Let's end the matter at that. Well, this brings us to the most interesting part of this whole episode today, which is the season of balloons, the unidentified objects, flying objects in the air over US, which is balloon, low-tech balloon again, I guess. Similar to last year, it looks like it is becoming the time of the year when the season of unidentified balloons are intercepted over US, and this one is over Utah apparently, tracked and clarified by the military to be of no concern or importance, thankfully. Well, who's flying these balloons? Firstly, why is there no report coming out as to who is setting these balloons off to such courses, which could be treacherous and dangerous or whatever it is? And secondly, why has it not been nabbed even till now? It's been second year or the third year, I guess. That saga just continues. It's funny and it's a little unnerving, because if this is there is something credible to these balloons, and oh man, like what is it in this low tech? If and by the way, if this low tech is capable of such wide coverage of whatever it is trying to achieve from its flying path, capturing photos or whatever it is, then my mind just goes to the fact that what is high tech? Uh, what is the high tech option that the source of this balloon has in their wings that they can use, because this low tech is doing good enough a job. Uh, well, don't even want to see the high tech part. I hope that's taken care of, and things move on from there. Well, that's a wrap, I guess. So we covered the U.S., Taiwan, and all that. The Tucker Putin was the most interesting interview. You should go and watch it. Farmers protest in French. I still have to see the images coming in or not. I have not tracked that. Germany legalizing cannabis. Capital One and Discover credit cards. Go and get one, I guess. I don't know. Fed rate cuts or not. Watch out if you're in for buying houses or bigger investments. Gmail's not shutting down, so your emails are safe, I guess. And the balloon is here. All right. So let's leave it at that. Hope you enjoyed the drive. This drive is again down south, the sunny day, perfect sunny day, very cold but sunny. So when you roll up the windows in the car, the greenhouse effect makes it warm and cozy, and you can go for a long drive. Uh, Hope you like the content. Feel free to drop in your comments, suggestions, etc., whatever you feel like. And if it's worth commenting, I would reply back, and we can continue from there. Please do subscribe. I need subscribers. I cannot understate or overstate the importance of subscribers. It opens some more doors. I can go live, otherwise I cannot. I can just continue with this. And please subscribe, please share, and please like the videos. That would really help me and support me to keep going on and go for better drives and better views, I guess, better cameras, and all that. I can put them resources in this based on that encouragement. All right, until next time, have a really good one, and cheers.